Nah,
good
man,
though.
nah, nothing. I ain't heard that in a minute. That's
Oh,
beautiful. So, yo, man, how things going with the brewery and the work and the strategizing and the game planning? How things going with that?
it's going slowly but steadily. There's a. I mean, you're a business owner, so you already know, and I'm new to it, so I'm understanding, the process of having to take care of this and also juggling over here to do that, and it's I'm learning right now. Once what, like, July hit, I spent the past month as stay at home dad of the century, and so I'm doing that and getting adjusted to the different tasks that I need to get done, for the brewery, and sometimes it can seem a bit mundane, right? Some of the tasks that we have to do. And so with that, it's just like, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Like, but it's a necessary process that has to get done in order for the work to continue. And I'm just getting used to that, you know,
Right.
uh, and also, you know, getting used to watching my children, so, I'm trying something new, giving them a little more freedom to, I mean, why don't you step outside in the backyard? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't remember at what age my parents did that, where they're just like, hey, now go out back by yourself where I don't have to sit here and watch you the whole time. So
Yeah, yeah.
that freed me up a bit last week. And so it's like, okay, so I think I can do this. And I think, I can trust some of my children are not old, but they're older now. And so they know, okay, these are the main rules that I will not break, but I'll still try to push boundaries somewhere
Of course,
else.
of course. That's how they learn and grow. They got to.
Yeah.
But now,
So,
I like what you brought up the word mundane task. And your situation is unique because, mundane task, I think that's where a lot of us, I don't think, I know for a fact, that's where a lot of us struggle, right? Is doing what is seemingly well, not seemingly, but it is unsexy. It's not
yeah.
fun. It's not enjoyable. Like you said, mundane was a great word to use. In your case, it's interesting because you are Dr. William Komar. So obviously you have shown a consistency and deliverability of being able to be focused, to sustain for a few years of academia, to get to a point of, thesis, doctorate, so you know how to do the mundane task. In this particular case, it's interesting because now, like you said, you're stepping into entrepreneurship, and you, like you said, you're stepping into different tasks that you normally do from a higher level point of view because you were doing the regular work task of doing a job, right? So you
Right.
had the job task at hand that you were doing and doing well, and you know how to do because it was given to you, it was laid out. Now you're coming into a position where you're an entrepreneur, nothing is laid out. You literally have to now lay out the task at hand, and you don't even necessarily know what you're laying out. On top of that, you have to now learn again, being, that stay-at-home dad part, which is constantly evolving because, like you said,
Yeah.
at the age that your kids are, it's that growth period that happens. It's, again, seemingly slow, but it's happening very rapidly, like you just articulated.
Right.
Do I let them out at 4 or 5 years old into the backyard, give them a little bit, a little bit of rope to play with more? When I'm, for the last 3 years, we've been doing everything we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let me get to my question after I brought that all up for you. How are you structuring the mundane task, or let me ask you this, how are you finding the mundane task let's just stick with the entrepreneurship. How are you finding those tasks to be for you, as far as, are you finding joy in those, or are you still finding the overwhelming feeling of having to do those tasks because it's still so much to do?
I wouldn't say it's an overwhelming feeling. For me, it's more, in my mindset, it's a necessity. It's something that has to get done, right?
Okay.
Plain and simple. So I have to do it. That means I have to make the time to do it. So, instead of finding more excuses for, oh, well, lunch went a little long with the kids, and then,
Mhm.
and we were out at the park, like I can find some time to, sit here and what I do the other day, 2 days ago, mill grains, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's not sexy, You're just taking a handful of grains, you're weighing them, and then you're crushing it, not like into a fine powder, but enough to just crack open a husk, right? But
Okay.
you have to do this for like almost like 10 kilograms worth of grain, and I have this little like hopper that holds maybe 1 kilogram at a time.
Mhm.
And so, and you're just, it's got this little rotary arm, and you just, and and it took me a couple hours
Yeah.
to get through, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, yeah, you can look at it and you can think, oh my God, like this is gonna, excuse me, this is gonna take forever. Like, or in my instance, I was like, all right, I finally sat to make time. Let's knock this thing out because I can't continue on the rest of my processes unless I take care of step one, or
Mhm. Okay.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, it's not. I don't feel like, oh man, I gotta get this done. For me, it's just like I need to get this done, and it's
Yeah.
time to get it done. Plain and simple, you know.
So I like what you said there. You have to take care of step one, right? And I
Mhm.
think so. There's a book called Power of Focus, and I believe the author is Jack Canfield. I read these years ago, but it helped. So it's two books. I'm gonna give you this one first. Power of Focusing talked about the importance of taking care of the most important thing, right? That needs to that will catapult the other steps you have to do, right? But without focusing on this and this and this, so letting the distractions get in your way, getting that one thing done, like you were saying, doing this grinding, it has to be done because if you don't do this process, how do you get to the recipe? How do you get to what you need, right? So it needs to be step by step approach. So focusing on that, but then the other book that helped bring that to, I guess, a little more um, vivid, walking through was Keller Williams, uh, the one thing, doing the one thing. So it's a book by Keller Williams. The real estate agent,
Yeah,
company agency. Yeah. The founder Keller Williams, he wrote a book, The One Thing, that really just honed in again on you have to eliminate distractions. You have to clear your mind and focus on doing the one. So we get so focused, like we talked about a little bit briefly the other day, multitasking, right? And we all think that we can multitask, and to a certain degree, yes, with certain things we need to, right? If you got the kids, yeah, you got to hold baby in the arm, put the milk in, whatever, make sure they don't run around, and try to put the clothes in laundry. That's
yeah.
multitasking, right? Okay, yeah, that can be done. But when it comes down, like you talked about though, too, in the last episode, where we talked about narrowing the focus when it really needs to get something that needs to be accomplished,
Mm.
you do have to focus in on the most important steps and give it the 3 or 4 or 6 or 2 weeks, 2 months, focus that it needs. The time is irrelevant. It's more about the discipline of bringing up that thing that needs to get addressed that will lay the foundation for everything else to stack on, right?
Right.
And so I think that's important. That's important. You said that you are doing the one thing. So what I find in my, because again, I've been, like you said, in entrepreneurship for years, but again, running businesses, some I ran it to the ground. Being honest, you know what I'm saying? Again, trying to learn, right? Trying to figure out, not, it wasn't intentional, it's just reality,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Some that are like, the two that I have now, this being one of them that's still, on a trajectory of upward momentum. It's the, it's the habit stacking, right? Of doing the small mundane tasks, like you said, not so much for the culmination of the ultimate goal that I want to achieve, but more importantly, staying true to the daily commitment of what I said I would do, of
Mhm.
whatever the task is, especially when doing that task is not fun, or the emotional feeling of it makes me feel like this some bullshit. I don't want to do this, right? That's the thing that I've stuck to over my years of really making sure I can give 100% to whatever that small task is. And knowing and doing that, that is actually the culmination of the success that I'm looking for. And then once the world sees it or it starts to manifest itself, right? And what that looks like, what I'm saying, like, so in your case, right, with the beer company, you're starting it right now, right? But when you go pitch it to, investors, or you go start, looking to get facilities, and someone says, yes, I believe in what you have, and you sign on the lease, right? And you get an
Mhm.
investor to give you 100K, right? People think that's the culmination of the success, but for you, you're like, no, this is because I've been for the last 6, 8, 9 months diligently, daily, researching, putting together, talking to Chad,
And I got
revamping, how I pitch, revamping the numbers, revamping, all this. You you found success in those moments. So therefore, when the seemingly outside culmination of you signing a lease, or like I said, getting that check saying you have now the money, it doesn't necessarily hit you where I've won now. It's like, no, I won before this because I did all the work, and I'm still sustaining the work that's necessary. Because now once I sign that lease, now the work begins, right? Once
yeah,
I get
yeah,
that 100,000, now I got to deliver, because I have, I got to pay back a certain percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
also get right. But you're not prepared because of the work prior to. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
yeah. It's laying the foundation, to get to propel yourself onto the next platform. So to me, taking care of these tasks the way that the way you described is building up concrete pillars, right? Like you want a deck, you don't just walk out of a window or a door and then you're on the deck. No, you have to build it up from the foundation first. So you put in these concrete slabs and you put in your wooden posts after digging out. So you're building this foundation so that it's sturdy. So when you get to step out the door onto your deck, you're like, all right, I have done it. I have built a deck. Now the next part is let's set up the deck so we can all chill on it. You know what I'm saying? So now we got to get friggin' I don't know, outdoor furniture and a grill. And we got to, but it's a constant evolution. So it's constantly evolving more and more, but it's building a safe and secure foundation. So you were winning from the beginning when you first put in that first foot and you measured and everything was level. It's a beautiful feeling from there. And so
So,
it's,
and I appreciate those analogies. Let me ask you this, because you've gone through it, like we said, with a doctorate, and you've, because no, most people, that's why you are in an elite group of people who can say you have a doctor, right? But you did the work. Let me ask you this though, along your process of academia, when it got tough, because you have that what in Atomic Habits James Clear calls the plateau of latent potential, where most people quit. So that's the place where, to give the example, if you don't know what that phrase means, foreign language learning, right? Like in my case, because you're doing it too. But like, I'll just give my personal example. If I'm trying to learn Spanish, which I have, right? I start off trying to learn like 5 words a day, right? And then around that, so I start consistent 3 days out the week, right? And then about, say, a month and a half in, I'm still not articulating it the way I want to, and I get frustrated, right? Because it's a month and a half in, I've been doing this. And then I say, well, I'm gonna stay with a little bit longer, right? So I give another month, right? So it's been now 60 days. I'm still not getting the words right. So what happens, that a plateau of latent potential, in those 2 or 3 months of me trying to learn it, because it's not coming right and it's not sounding right, I quit, because I'm like, I've been at it for 2 months, right?
yeah.
How do you fight? How have you fought that in your matriculation of growth in your doctorate? How have you fought the plateau of latent potential where you don't quit, right? At something. How have you fought that?
Uh, for me, there's I just have this internal like, man, are you gonna quit? Like, you really are we gonna quit? Is that what we're gonna do? And so for me, like grad school was a 5 year program, right? And the first 2 years is filled with actual like book learning, knocking out your essentially like master's type courses, classes, things like that. And then still learning your craft. Year 3 is is like this year that typically most people that are going through the program, this is that late, what do you call it? Uh,
Plateau of latent
Plateau of
potential.
late potential. This is where most people will quit, because year one, you're excited that you got accepted into a PhD program. Year two, you're still kind of riding that high of like, yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. This is amazing. And then year three, you're sitting here at banquets with Nobel laureates,
Mm,
and
mm,
department heads, and you're like, I don't understand a single thing that these guys are talking about. Like, why are we in such close proximity? Maybe I shouldn't be in this program. That's what you
mm,
start to think, and you start to think that maybe I can leave right now because I finished my coursework, and I can leave with a master's.
mm.
It's called a non-thesis master's when you take this route, and so
Okay.
it's just like, I've done all the book work, but maybe I'm not cut out for this. And this is where most of these people will drop out from
Kind
a
of
PhD
like a comfortable, what do they say? The consolatory prize, like, or the you didn't win the
constellation prize.
consolation, yeah, like a
Yeah,
company. Yeah, you accept it as that because at least I got my master's, and that's how
right,
you kind of I guess make yourself feel comfortable about not continuing, right? I
correct,
guess for some people, okay, go ahead.
correct. And so that's how most people feel in year three. And then those of us that continue through to year four, it's like, all right, well, I know what I know, and I feel like I know it pretty well, and that's when you start to realize that, like, what people are talking about, they can talk about it so beautifully and eloquently because they've spent, these past few years only researching and doing that
That
thing.
thing, yeah,
Yeah. And so they've become so narrowed in their focus that, like, it would be ridiculous if they couldn't explain it, to this high level. And you're like,
right.
oh.
They do, right.
And so that's what you start understanding year four. And then year five, you're just like, all right, let's just finish this up so I can get out of here. Like,
Mm.
I done made it this far, man. Without quitting. It's time. It's time. Like, I know my stuff, and I know it, and you know it, and everyone else around me knows. Like, I mean, I'm that guy. I'm that guy when it comes to GPCRs, right? G protein coupled receptors. Like, people know. Like, that's my bag.
So I appreciate you sharing that. I guess I still want to go back to because you bring up some very good points within that you know expertise or that path journey of academic masters to doctorate. That place where you said people in the third year where most people do quit, right? Which there are obviously numbers, statistics that would support that. We know that. That is that place, when you get to any I guess profession or anything that you're desiring to, in a sense, you want to accomplish a certain goal within that thing. In this case, we're talking about third year before you go into your fourth year. What was it for you though? Still, that I know you said it. You because when people say this, like I just got it within me where I don't quit, but there still was, I'm sure, a moment where you hit that proverbial wall of in that third or fourth year window where you're doing the work still, and you realize that you have the capability, but it's still not coming to manifestation of showing your excellence, right? And you keep looking at like I've been doing this daily. What do you do and what have you done then to stay consistent to get you to that point is what I would like for us to explore. Can you
Okay.
can you reflect on that?
Um, so for me, at that moment, when I was talking about that banquet dinner,
Hmm.
like, this is a real story. So I went to a conference with my PI, so my boss, right? And we're sitting at a table with a Nobel laureate, a
Mm,
few department heads, like decision makers for universities, and
yeah.
then my PI, and then me at a table, 8 people. And so I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these guys, and they're just, you can see two guys on my left having a conversation, and then
Mm,
one guy stops to interject in a conversation across the table because he had a point that he was like, oh, did you consider this? And they're like, oh yeah, it's a brilliant point. And so these guys are just like, firing back at each other, and I'm sitting here,
Ripping on such an intellectual level.
yeah,
You like, what?
yeah, and I'm sitting here with my name tag on, and I'm like, uh, uh, and so they see me, and the guy, he stops, the Nobel laureate, and he stops. He goes, I'm sorry, it's what's your name? And I was like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. Oh, name. I'm Will. I'm Will, man. I'm William Komar. William Komar. Yes. And he goes, and you're at. I was like, I'm at his lab, like, at that point at my PI, and I'm like, oh my god, what is going on, man? Like, I can't even answer simple questions. University of Akron, it's a, you know what I'm saying? But like, I was so lost in the sauce, like trying to figure out how they can do these conversations and have this, and then I spoke with my PI afterwards, and he was like, I was like, man, like how why were we at this table? Like I don't belong here, with you and all these other people. And he's like, what you need to know is that you do. I was like, huh? And he was like, look at the work that we've done, in the past 3 years already, and the papers that we've already published, and the work that you've been an integral part in. It's like you belong right where you were. And it was good for you to be in this conversation and to see, so that it opens your mind, and you're able to see, like, okay, I can be in these rooms, I can have these conversations, and I'm just as qualified as the rest of the people that are here. We all went through the same process you did, and now you're going through something that I finished, I think he said 5 or 6 years ago, and these guys have finished, 10, 20 years ago, but you're going through the same process. And then, it was just that moment for me. It was like, okay. And like, it really opened my eyes to think, like, he's right, man. These guys have, I'm just going through the same steps that they've already accomplished. So it's not that I shouldn't be there, it's that I'm sitting here and I'm learning from them, and I'm getting able to see, like, what the other end looks like, from being from the beginning to being someone who's so established. And so that for me helped flip in my head, like, oh man, I should be here. Like, I'm almost I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And so that is what kept me pushing through instead of like quitting. It's like, man, I'm almost there. Like, I have most of this is already done. Like,
I think, and let me just say, bro, I think that is amazing. That is a great story. You kind of alluded to that story back when we first did our first show together. Talking about this situation, but exposure is so important, right? And having that mentor or tutelage is valuable. You were blessed to have a mentor that saw your talent, recognized, and then brought you into a situation to give you exposure to what you are and will be eventually actually doing yourself, right? So, and for you, because he knew that would light the fire in you to stay consistent, right? What you were already doing and delivering on. I think that's remarkable. I'm going to speak real quick to those of you listening who don't have what Doc, was privy to, and he had to create that. And I'm not, because this wasn't hey, Doc. He go back to our other episodes where he talked about his his process to get to that point. Uh, but when he was put into that position and he was exposed to something seemingly at the moment he was inept or at the moment not ready for, but he really is, and he's going to be there. Um, it helped because I think it helped, like he said, it helped him, stay aggressive and stay focused. For those of you who don't have the mentor, right, or don't have someone to put you in the exposure of the thing, right, because a lot of us are and Doc, you can speak to this now a little bit. A lot of us have now gotten to a point where we're parents, we're older, right? You get into this habit and this habitual routine of taking care of others and doing the responsible things, right? And you lose track of the routines and disciplines that will allow you to bring about the ability to be exposed to something new, if that makes sense what I'm saying, right? And be exposed to the thing that's going to encourage you because you're so focused on doing the daily routines that are necessary for survival, right? Not only for yourself, but most likely for your children, your seeds, right?
Right.
And so what I want to speak to you about is, in order to break the plateau of latent potential, which we all face in different ways. In this particular case, in Doc's case, he was already, invested 3 or 4 years into it. He had been studying. This is what he wanted to do. And so we get these stories and we say, well, and then for the people who are still trying to figure their shit out, Doc, because you can attest this, they'll say, well, you already had, this is why they say, it must be nice, right? These phrases
Yeah.
come up,
Uh,
right? So right, you know what I'm talking about, Doc. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to address y'all who want to talk that way right now, because I've already started by expressing I understand the reality for a lot of people, the averages out there. You're not in these type of positions because now you're in the routine of life of survival and just trying to sustain enough to be able to take care of this new life you brought into the world. But you still have dreams and you still have desires of wanting to achieve something. And every time you start, you hit that plateau of latent potential and then you quit, right? Because there's not a drive enough yet within you, or what we call burning desire, that fire. You haven't found what people say, that passion, all that stuff that you've heard people talk about, right? So what I'm asking you to do is hear what we're talking about from both sides, but then at some point, it's not about what you're given, it's about what you start to want to fucking take. And when I say that, I mean you have to want to take the thing in order to, like Doc said, he just has in him, I'm not going to quit. One reason why I'm gonna invest in the brewery, one reason why we're going, why we work together is because I understand. I've seen his trajectory, I've seen his path of it. He's seen it in me. We've been cousins. He's seen it from a distance in me over the years. To build businesses and still not quit, to be homeless and get right back on my feet, right? Lose relationships, be a father that's absentee father from the standpoint not being in a home but taking care of my responsibility. All the things that would normally say you're distracted, you can't build something. But I always say there's routines that I'm going to do no matter what, that are my foundation, that I have to stay true to. I have to eliminate the distractions and focus on what I can do, right? Now, I brought up the example of Spanish or, learning a foreign language, which, again, there's no necessarily real need for me to learn that. So it's not anything that's driving me, right, to actually stay committed to that. And so what you find a lot of times is people who are out there who are trying to create that new thing of passion, desire, you will find something like a language or something that doesn't really have a drive, right? You heard Doc say with the beer company and him building out it's unequivocal. He has to do it, right? He like economically rise, right? In order to have the financials, to have the family and the life, he has to do this shit. So unbeknownst to, in which it is, he understands that's a driving factor that, yeah, if I don't do this shit, I won't eat, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that same understanding, people, whatever it is you say you're going to get involved in, it has to be that drive. And we can try to make it sound like, passion, sound good, all that stuff, what you love. At the end of the day, that shit don't go but so far either. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and I'm sure when you were in those studies and when you're sitting there, it's like, yeah, sometimes like I love this shit, but this shit hard. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like this
you,
shit,
you you definitely have those moments of realization. It's like, man, why am I doing this?
yeah, straight
my
up, straight
bro,
up.
my daughter, the one day, so I was getting ready for work, and she said, "Poppy," I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why you go to work?" And I was like, "Because I have to, love." And she goes, "But why? Every day?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's a great. Why am I going to work? Like it makes you think. You're like, why am I doing this? Like, oh God, is there anything else I could be doing, man? Should I start a OnlyFans or something? Like, no, but
I will not
but,
subscribe, but okay.
but
If you
like,
want to,
but like, it's these moments, right, where you're like, why am I doing this? And then you have to remind yourself, oh yeah, that's right. This tiny person in front of me that's asking, why am I going to work every day? And I'm like, because of you. Like you ask these questions. I want to make sure that you have. I mean, I didn't grow up poor or anything, but like,
no, we didn't.
still, I just want them to have more than me, and just be, I don't know, to want for not. So
And I hear you on that. And we say that as parents, but I feel like, that's to want for not. But I think at the end of the day, we're doing them a disservice to a certain degree if we don't allow them, because you have to want. You have to want
yeah,
to
yeah,
fight.
yeah,
And you have to be put in position. Real talk. This kind of goes off topic a little bit, but like my 18-year-old daughter's mad at me right now because she wanted some money for an apartment that I could give it to her, but what she doesn't understand is over the past 3 years of her working, I told her, just we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, we read Think and Grow Rich, we read financial books, we talked about setting aside a certain percentage of your earnings
hmm
since she started working, right? And what I try to tell her is, it's not what you culminate to right now. It's what I've been asking of you. And you think it's me trying to be dad or be disciplined or be wrong, but it's what life is going to demand of you, because you're going to have a want one day
right.
where you want to obtain something. You're going to put yourself in a position where she did. She got the location, but she didn't realize it's about 4 or 5 grand more than what she thought it was going to
Uh,
be. Right. So now it's like, and she got loans and she got grants and all that. You know what I'm saying? She did it
yeah,
right. But again, I told her months prior, had she disciplined and saved a certain amount, I would match the amount that she saved. And then when we come up 2 months ago, I brought her to her wedding. She's like, I didn't know nothing about that. Well, you missed your opportunity. So I always say,
you're like, no, I told you about that. I told you
right.
about that.
So that parable, when the person's drowning in the water, the boat comes and like, no, God gonna save me. And then the ship comes like, no, God gonna save me. And then whatever comes, then they die. They get to heaven. They like, hey, God, why'd you say I sent 3 boats?
I sent 3 goddamn boats, man. Yeah,
So I'm like, so she's mad that I won't pay, and again, it's not that I wouldn't pay, but she's mad because I'm not. I was like, because it's not this moment. It's the culmination of what you have not done, that you were privy to and very aware of to do to build yourself for this particular moment, because it was coming, and you haven't done the work. And now you want to be saved. And if I jump in and interject as I can, but does that really benefit you for the future? I've been trying to show you, you're still young enough to learn and bounce back. You know what I'm saying? But at a certain point, if we keep on saving you, right? At a certain point, you're going to get to a point where there's no one there to save you, and there's no thing to save you. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So I'd rather you learn now, be fully mad and upset with me now, to recognize once you get past the hurt and the frustration of, you, my dad, you supposed to, and I haven't been an in-home father from the standpoint of raise her in the house. We've been, but the situation,
Yeah,
but I'm being candid with people. But I'm also too, I can't knee jerk reaction because of that was our story in our life. I can't just jump in and say, well, hey, because I want you to love me. That doesn't still help you achieve the thing you need to achieve, right? So I
yeah,
say that to say, as parents, I think we still have to allow our youth, and we can put ourselves in a great position. You know what I'm saying? Like the things I'm building, yeah, when I'm off this earth, she's gonna get, some
yeah,
nice stuff. You know what I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Now that might be 40, 50 years from now, that could be next week. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully it's not for another, we said 150 for a
yeah,
while,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
my
We
point
got a while
is,
to go.
right, right. My only point is, I think, and you learn this, I think, by doing the work on yourself and realizing in the work you do, and you're doing this yourself too, Doc. But that's why we're having conversation, right? To say we want our kids to want for not, you have to want, because if you don't want, you're not going to learn. Go ahead.
It's okay. So I did say one for not. It's not that I'm just gonna be here like, oh, okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. Like, because that's not the way that we were raised, like
Right.
at all. And so for me, it's just I want the means to be able to do it if needed, like plain and simple. Where I'm not like, oh shoot, all right, let me find someone that can take care of this. Like, I want to be able to say, like, I can take care of this immediately if I want to. Same way you're saying. You're like, yeah, I
Right.
can, but what lesson are you going to learn in that? Right.
Right.
And so
Right.
for me, I think the one thing I say the most throughout the day is figure it out. And that's what I say. Because all the,
I like that. I like
puppy, Liam hit me and he took him. Like, okay, well, hey, look, figure it out. Okay. Figure it out. What are you gonna do? I don't want you to go in there and go punch your brother in the face, but like figure something out. You guys
that. Right.
both want to play with the same toy. Guess what? There happens to be another one exactly like it sitting on the floor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like
But
when I say figure it out, I want you to go grab this other toy. Like use your brain, like process these things real quick, and it's okay. Well, I can do this instead. And so, like, my daughter, she's gotten pretty good at, oh, all right, well, if he took this from me, then I'll go take something that I know he really, really likes. And
Mhm.
then it'll be a swap because he'll see it. My son will see it and he'll be like, no, no, no. And she's like, well, you know,
Okay, look at
and
her
then it's
strategizing.
that trade. Yeah. And
Emotional
so
strategizing. I like that.
she's figured that out. It's like,
Yeah.
oh. So I'm like,
Okay.
yes,
But
figure it out, man.
see, and I totally agree with you. And I know you're because you obviously, I told you the other time. I think you're a remarkable father. You're doing a great job. And I think the biggest thing is what you're doing is to do as I do, not do as I say. Right.
Yeah.
So because you figure it out, they see you figuring it out. They see you working through the process because kids see her. That's why she came to you, Dad. Why do you go to work every day? Right. Kids
Mm-hmm.
see everything. Now I think that's why you know us having this conversation about doing the mundane task, especially if you do have children
Yeah.
out there and you're looking to set that example. I think the example also at this particular juncture in 2025, as we're having this conversation, middle of the year, and you can elaborate on this after I give my little soliloquy. What I'm thinking is, Doc, with what we have at our disposal now, right? With AI agents, with things we can have, we got this quote unquote smartphone that we've had for, a couple, a decade now plus. We have the potential if we still have not, as individuals, grown individuals, if we still haven't reached what we believe is our apex of excellence, right? I think we still have an opportunity to do so, but it's re-engineering and going back to do the things on a daily basis, even with all the outside and even present noise. If we can clear that out and get back to figuring out what is it that I am passionate about? What is it that I do want to do? What is it with my 9 to 5 I'm currently doing that still doesn't bring out all of my talents? What they say about the most richest place in the world, right, is the grave, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody dies with these talents that they haven't unfolded, right? So how do you do that? You do that by doing the mundane, unsexy, or not sexy, not fun work of first off sitting with yourself to figure it the fuck out what it is you want to do, number one. Then once you figure it out, be willing to find joy in the process and recognize the process still takes time. Relative time, not so much as far as, I'll be a millionaire 24 months if I do XYZ, or, I'll not so much that. It's the what did Jim Rohn say? It's the person you become on trying to obtain your goal, not the attainment of the goal that is a success. Does that make sense? So if
Yeah,
you
I got
focused on that, the process, and this is what Kobe talked about, when his Mamba, and all that, how he did things for years, right? It was the process that he found enjoyment in. And the day, waking up the next morning after playing a game against LeBron or whoever, right? Jamming his finger, dislocating his finger, still waking up at the 4 a.m., after flying, 6 hour from, New York to now playing Philly or whatever, excuse me, 6 hours, 2.5 hour flight, right? Get in the hotel room, still get yourself up. So it's not fun. I physically am sore, but I still do it, right? But he found the joy in the process of the process. And when
yeah,
he did that, then when it came hard for crunch time, when everybody's looking like there's pressure to hit that last second shot, for him, he's like, I've been doing this pressure without you looking, without you seeing, right? I've been doing this on a daily basis. So there's no pressure to be had right here because the pressure for me was when I had to get up, I only had 2 hours of sleep and I taped my finger that's already dislocated, right? So for you, it's the process and learning the process of and delivering on, okay, they may have let me go, but even when they let me go, I'm over here, I'm sharp with it. I'm getting the laptop that I need. I'm working, I'm sitting down doing work that I don't know. I'm looking at projections and fiscal numbers that I don't know yet as far as how this goes. But I know with me learning this now, it'll bring me what I need along the process. And it'll also bring forth what I'm looking for. Even in that moment, you get more clarity that you didn't have before,
yeah,
right? And that is what you enjoy. You're like, I feel good now when I go to sleep. Same thing with your workouts, right? Yeah, you may have a goal of losing 20 pounds, but it's not the attainment of the 20. It's like, oh, I did the thing today where I ate right. I did the thing today where I went for 20 minutes, even though I didn't have a full hour, right?
yeah,
That's why my endorphins, my cortisol levels, my melatonin levels can now, because I've taken care of the things I can. That's the success moment. Does that make sense?
yeah, for sure, yeah.
And that's what I think we have to get back to as people in this modern age of realizing. And that's why I think we always people talk about social media being, a negative, but I think it has its positive. Again, anything can be a negative if you let it be a negative. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, it has its bad sides, but I think if you can get back to, the problem is people are not getting back to creating atomic habits that will habit stack. So go get Atomic Habits by James Clear, or The Power of Focus. That's a great book, great reads. Or The One Thing by Keller Williams. Go grab those books, because what we're doing is, Doc, I'll let you elaborate on this. We're projecting onto everything outside of us because we're not willing to sit down and do the hard work of focusing in on the little tasks that are going to give us the outcome that we're looking for. What do you think?
Again, these little tasks, man. It's for me. It just needs to get done. You know. But yeah, it's these little things, these little like, okay, I a stepping stone. I got this, and now I can work on this, and now I can work on this, and it starts to open up, this window for opportunity of the things that you've been wanting to do, the things that, oh, well, maybe I can move this way now, I can move this direction now, and you have freed yourself up to do that because you've taken care of the small mundane task along the way that that just built into this, this freedom, this like, okay, I have the opportunity to step this way or this way because I've been building, from here to here. I have this amount of possibility. So I just feel like, yeah, man.
I like what you said with that freedom, because with freedom comes responsibility.
Yeah.
So, with more freedom comes more responsibility that has to be had at that particular juncture. But the great thing about building, like you said, by doing the mundane task, what people don't recognize is, now that you have that freedom, because you created that, you also have the routine and structure there. So you don't lose track of yourself, right? And if you do, you can pivot and come back to what you created, which was the proper routine and structure to get you to that place in the first place, right? So it all works hand in hand. You can't be or create the freedom you want without doing the disciplined things that, people always try to say, do what others won't. It ain't about what the others are or are not doing. It never has anything to do with the haters and all that. It has not. I always hated that shit. Cause it's like everybody want to put on, I got haters, they looking at me. It ain't about that. It's what
It's
Bruce
like,
said.
yes, so
Right. It's like, look, 'cause everybody else always living their life no matter what, however they
there,
living it. You know what I'm saying?
there is
Whether you,
someone that hates someone for no reason every single place. So what, man? I
right,
don't care.
right, right. It's like that
I,
doesn't.
I don't feel accomplished because someone hates me today. Like, God, I also don't care that someone hates me. It's like, whatever, man. Like, look, we all someone's gonna hate something you're doing just because they woke up that morning and they said, man, today's a good day to hate on somebody. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't care how many haters you have. It don't mean
It,
nothing to me.
it has nothing to do with nothing. But I can also say too, because everybody want to say, man, I do this because I'm trying to, my haters may say, or I work harder than the next person. It's never about that. It's never. It's always you. It's always, Bruce Lee talked about him. Before he passed, the demons. They talked about Michael Jackson's song, "The Man in the Mirror." The reason why that was so popular is because it was so true and metaphorical to the reality. Is you that you have to face when you look in the mirror. Is your demons, is your questions, your concerns, your fears that you have to work through. And most of us want to say, well, I got to do it because my ex left me and she didn't understand how good was her loss. It's like, ain't got nothing to do with that, pimp.
But
you know, as black men in the world that, seemingly wants to put us down continuously, and I'm not say continue, I don't say seamlessly. Yes, they have, but to another point,
uh,
I'm not going to sit there and harp on that to try to, be the best man I could be to outdo and outshine them. It's because I know I've been blessed with the capability to be good, great. to be good. You know what I'm saying? So the fight comes within me on a daily basis to be that, to articulate myself well, not to appease anybody, but because there is growth. Can I still talk hood? Yeah, that's all great. There's times and places for that. You know what I'm saying? But can I also invest my money well? Do I understand what it is to, have a holdings company? Do I understand what it means to be international and have different understanding of different international markets? You know what I'm saying? Can I still, take care of myself physically and walk into a room and present myself with a nice smile and good breath, right? Can I take care of my body, right? Eat healthy, right? I don't have, halitosis coming through because I'm feeding myself the wrong thing, right? All this is just because, again, I've been a privy to and been aware of what I can be, right? It's not about trying to offset the haters or offset those who I could care less, because like you said, at any given time, someone gonna still think something of me, no matter what the situation is. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? No matter how good I look or how bad I look, someone's always gonna have something to say. You know what I'm saying? So however rich I am or however poor I am, someone's gonna have something to say, right? So that's not the motivating factor. The motivating factors always, can I be better with that 1% better, which they talk about in
Mm-hmm.
Power Focus, that one or Atomic Habits, that 1% better daily, 1%, which will eventually, with 365 days a year, it will exponentially grow itself, just like a snowball rolling down a hill. It picks up things as it goes and it gets bigger, right? Do I create the proper habits across the board? Who I associate with, me and Doc talking, what he doesn't possibly know, and I'm gonna give him his roses real quick. Us doing this gives me certain level of encouragement weekly to know that I'm having good intellectual conversation, but then I take what we talk about and I still go apply it, right? So that is the habit that is enforcing me to make sure I don't come to him, because this is Doc. Like, I'm talking to a doctor. Look, you may not be a Nobel laureate yet,
Yeah.
but but you are a
Right.
doctor. And so you have raised
Yeah.
my level of, when I come speak to you and when I talk to you, yeah, we're family, but I still don't want to come to you ignorant. I don't want to come to you, like, yeah, man, you see that little meme that came today and you did. You're like, brother, I'm raising a family.
No,
I got work
no,
to do.
God.
Like, I don't want to talk about a goddamn meme. What you
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh,
Right?
man. Yeah.
So again, but that habit of us meeting, us doing this, it starts to habit stack and build everything else and extend out to other things, people. How you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So I just want to kind of like give you an understanding that we're glad to be here talking to you guys, but we both try to focus in on doing the mundane tasks that are not sexy, that don't look great, that don't feel great. I would say 70 to 80% of the time, right? Don't feel great to do, but we do it. We
Or
grind
don't.
the grain. Uh,
I said it sure don't, but like, it's gotta get done, man.
We
It's,
grind the grain for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours. We
yeah.
grind the grain, but then you look up, you grind the grain, you learning, Swiss German, you're doing all this stuff. You look up in 4 years, people like, well, how'd you create this? Oh, you see, you didn't see the work that I was doing daily,
Oh,
trying to halfway turn the light at night when I was already
but
drained, trying to put 2 kids to sleep.
it must be nice to own your own company. It is. And do you know what I had to do to get to this point? Like, yeah, man. So
So keep fighting, brother, keep fighting. Those of you listening, be willing to do the mundane. Be willing to create the right habits. Be willing to be 1% better for you, not for anybody else. And especially if you got kids, I'm gonna tell you right now, do it for you. If you do it for you, then they will see it. They're gonna obviously benefit from the work that you put in. We
yeah,
keep thinking if we go to work 9 to 5 and bust our ass and sacrifice, and self-sacrifice, that's giving them what they need. No, what they see is someone getting burnt out, someone not feeling like they're feeling, fully happy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Nah, it's a beautiful thing, where at this point now, um, 5 days out the week, we have a daycare at the gym, and so when we go, obviously I take the kids, and sometimes things come up during the day, and we just can't get there. But the kids will keep you like focused because it's like, hey, are we supposed to go to the gym? Why
Uh-huh.
didn't we go to the gym yet?
Right.
Why didn't we go to the gym? And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, well, we got up a little late, and so we missed we missed the daycare time, but we can go do something else. We can go, let's go for a walk today. Let's go outside and go do this. And it's because they see every day we go to the gym, and that is now in their head like, oh, we go to the gym every morning. That's the first thing we do. We wake up, we go to the gym, and then we go about the day. And it's a beautiful thing for them to already be picking up on bits and pieces like that, because we don't go to the gym for them. I don't go to the gym so that my son gets stronger. He don't get stronger from me from me lifting, but what they do see is they see the tasks and the things that we have to do on a daily basis that makes us personally feel
Uh,
like, okay, I feel better now. And so they see these things, and it's like, I want to feel like that too. And
right.
I think that's a beautiful thing, man.
No, I think that's dope. That's why I told you. You're an excellent father. You're doing right, brother. And I love the fact, like you said, because I'm big on the fitness aspect of life. But I can't make it to the gym. We gonna pull out something in the living room, create some space, push up squats, something. Go for a run down the street, do some sprints, or whatever, something. But something's going to get done. This body is with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whether you're married, whether you're not, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're sick, whether you're healthy, this body is with you. So if you don't take care of it the right way, then how can you expect for everything else around you to be done well? You know what I'm saying? And that's for my PSA to anybody out there. We always kind of talk about that. We'll have an episode where we talk about the importance of how the integration of wellness, no matter how you do the modality, whether it's the gym, whether it's cycling, whether it's, whatever it is you do, but
Yeah.
staying consistent with that modality is very vital to the foundation being laid. The same way your spiritual health, the same way your intellectual growth, you have to have all that encompassing as one. But the body is just so important, especially with how foods are. He's blessed because he's in Zurich, so his food is different now. Thank goodness you got that clean.
Yeah,
But those of
man.
you back in the States, though, y'all struggling. So we'll get to all that in another episode. But great work, though, Doc. Anything you want to close people out with on the mundane task stay focused on?
Just get it done, man. Find the time, put the time together, and just do it. Just get done what needs to be done.
I couldn't say it any better. So look, like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate you guys. Please comment. Let us know if you like what we're talking about. If you know what topics you may want to discuss. If you want us to dive deeper into our personal, what we got going on as far as the businesses. Our own run, Kane Ross. He's building a brewery as well as being a father of two little ones and a husband to a great wife. And living in a different country, Zurich. I'm in Thailand, so traveling. So it's a lot, right? So if you guys have questions, and you want to know, let us know what you want to know so we can talk to you guys, okay? But we
Yeah.
appreciate you. Doc said it right. Get it done. And we'll talk soon.